How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to San Jose Sharks Franchise Mode, episode number 7, heading into the 2024 draft and off-season here in NHL 23. In the last one, we finished 38, 38, and 6 with a record of 500 in a season in which we were not anticipating, we weren't going to make the playoffs, we weren't going to be doing anything crazy. Our first year with the team was a very surprising playoff berth, but we knew year number 2 was probably going to be a step back as we were looking for more player growth than anything. Connor Bedard's rookie season, 51 points in the Calder Trophy. William Eklund's sophomore season, 23 goals, 47 points. Cody Glass in his reclamation year, 38 points as a free agent signing. We saw Ryan Merkley in his rookie season, 24 points as a 77, growing to a 79. Add on very impressive performances from Lindblom and Carlson Couture at the age of 35. Jonathan Drouin's first season with the Sharks. I was impressed. I was fairly impressed for a team that we weren't expecting anything from. The goaltending wasn't as great, and I think that was a major reason why we didn't do super well. Both Kakinen and Riddick had sub-900 save percentages, and headed into the offseason, one of our major questions is what's up with the goaltending. Kakinen is on an expiring deal. There are potentially pending free agent goaltenders such as Ilya Sorokin. So aside from the questions that will be answered on July 1st, we also have draft questions because we do have the 9th overall selection in the draft, along with a few, I think 4 second-round picks. So those could be used to trade up for some of these defensemen who are here in the draft. And the more I thought about this, before I dive into the comments, the more I thought about it, I'm really hoping that some of these players might drop to 9. Because usually when you have a draft with many defensemen at the top, you could see these guys like Caswell or Catton going 3rd or 4th or 5th overall instead of 6th or 7th, because maybe the team doesn't want a defenseman. So at 9, maybe we could get Kiviharju. Maybe at 9, or I don't know, maybe we trade up to 6 or 7, we could get Tursunbayev, or Mats Rodin. So, most of what we're going to decide about the draft will be done at the draft itself, as opposed to before the draft. But there were a lot of suggestions from the assistant general managers really not making it easy this offseason. Do we go for a guy like Rodin who's ready now? A guy like Kiviharju who's going to be great but in a few years from now? What's the identity? What are we going for? Let's see what the assistant general managers had to say. I'm going to start off with the comment that I think best encapsulates my thinking before I go to some of the other comments that have some compelling arguments and so on. But Mike leaves a comment saying, "Great video, brother. I think you did excellent at the deadline. We tried to make magic happen, with the Bouchard trade, with the Kravtsov trade, but it felt forced, so we backed out, which I think will be better off in the long run. You still gained some assets, so I'd consider it a win. I prefer Ryan Merkley to Evan Bouchard. Let's get another season of Merkley on the power play and see what happens, and at the deadline, when he's on an expiring deal, maybe then explore our options. I vote to re-sign Oscar Lindblom for sure. He's a leader on this team and has been performing well. In the draft, I don't think we need to overpay to move up. Rather than trading into the top 5, I think the smart play is to take Kiviharju and then trade up to get that right wing. There's a guy at the end of the first round you found at the end of the first. And I also think we need to snag that gem goalie in the second. There's a gem goalie in the second round. He has 1 bar high elite. So usually I don't take chances on 1 bar high elites, but because he's a gem, if it works out, I may just. I don't think we need to make excessive deals in free agency. Maybe look for similar players like we did for Cody Glass last season, who also deserves an extension. I would revisit the Kravtsov trade. His size, puck skills, and potential are worth it. He needs a change of scenery, and we've already seen benefits from a similar situation with Cody Glass. Can't wait to see how the offseason shakes out. Go Sharks. Thank you, Mike. So I think that makes sense. I know Ryan Merkley may not always have that low elite potential, but I really do have a bit of a bias in my franchise modes that I really like to make storylines work with real life players. Could we trade Merkley and a pick to draft one of the generated prospects? Yes, that's very possible. But Merkley's been doing very well. He had top 4 minutes. He's developing. He's a homegrown talent. He's a former first-round pick. I don't really see much of a reason, realism-wise, to say it's time to dump this player, nor would I see a reason why a team with a top 5 pick who was about to draft like an 80 overall defenseman would say, I'm going to give them up for Ryan Merkley and a draft pick. So we'll look into Lindblom and we'll look into Kravtsov and all that. Thank you, Mike. Moving on to Epu's comment. Now he says, "Great video, Data. As for the draft, I would trade up to get the 4th or 5th overall pick to pretty much guarantee drafting Mats Rodin. The other guys are good ones too, but what stood out to me was that Rodin would pretty much be an instant replacement for Merkley, having probably around that 78 overall status, but years younger and even higher overall. I think you could even try to use Merkley as an addition along with that 1st to bump it up to 4th. So again, could it happen? Absolutely. Just, I don't know, if I did Merkley and a 2nd, or Merkley and a 9th, I guess that would make sense, but I really don't know. Do teams want to trade those picks? That's the question. I'd also try to trade Lindblom after a good season. He'll ask for too much, and we'd still get a decent return for his rights. Thank you, Epu. For Oscar Lindblom, unless... I don't know, like even in a 3rd line role with special teams, Lindblom has an 85. He's just coming off of a 50+ point season. I wouldn't mind giving him 1 or 2 years and seeing if he can continue on that trajectory. I know he'll probably go down a bit, but I feel like he really proved himself this last season. And, he's a fan favorite in the real world and in EA land. So I'd like to at least try on Oscar Lindblom. Not saying he'll stay for sure. We're not going to overpay like crazy, but at least let's give him the opportunity after the draft to see if his demand goes down a bit. Moving on to Andrew's comment, who says, good stuff as always. First, I'd keep Kakinen. It's unlikely that we'll get a better tier goalie, and he played okay on a 500 team. If you can't retain Lindblom, I would target Anthony Mantha. That right-handed right-wing sniper is something this team needs badly. If Mantha's not on the block, that makes it harder, but that's why I'm thinking Vitaly Kravtsov, because he is on the block. We also need a total revamp on the left side of the defense. Pickering is a year away. Honestly, I'm not sure. He might have enough growth to get him to 80 overall for next season, but we'll see. And if we can snag another at the draft, they'll be a year or 2 away as well. And again, it depends. Will it be a top 5 pick or somebody else? If you need a stopgap, maybe someone like Alec Martinez can fill in. Devontae's is a pipe dream, but if he's there, pull the trigger. At the draft, and this will be a challenge, but we're up to it, we've got to trade for Rodin. His attributes are stellar, has good enough size, is an offensive style player, but has shutdown ability as a strength. I'm not sure if he does, if his X factors are fully uncovered, but he'll definitely have X factors. Kid seems like a number 1 to build around. If we can't do that, Silvegaard, who I believe is also an offensive defenseman, but medium top 4D, slated to go somewhere between 10 and 15, is the guy I'd target next, as he has a similar profile, yes. I like Tanguay as well as another potential target if you can swing it. That's the long-term solution to that missing right-hand, right-wing sniper. Love that idea. And you know what? Take a flyer on that Hornquist kid, the goalie, again, the 1-bar high elite gem in the mid-50s as a goalie. Goalie gems develop well, and they really need that to get to the NHL. Even if he's not really elite high, and even a medium starter, with a gem, that would put him on a good trajectory. He's next man up if Lindbergh, our current AHL starter with medium starter potential, graduates. Let's crush this offseason and lay the foundation for a Sharks dynasty. Thank you, Andrew. So, seeming like the trend here is saying, we're not sure about the goalie. We'll see what happens. Keeping him wouldn't be the worst thing because, yeah, his numbers weren't great, but neither was the team. Also, take a chance, a flyer on that 1-bar high elite goalie, and try and get Rodin if possible, but it's really going to depend on what teams want to trade their picks and who's getting drafted at what position. Scrolling through the rest of the comments, it looks like that is the trend in most of what the assistant general managers had to say. Take a flyer on that goalie. Think about moving Merkley depending on what kind of defenseman happens in the draft. So that's exactly what we're going to do if possible. Like I said, we have our 2nd round picks. We could definitely make some trades. One trade I do want to make is going to be trading up to 26 or 27 to get Tanguay. But aside from that, we could use the 9th overall pick. We could use maybe 3 out of our 4 second-round picks. A couple prospects maybe somewhere in there. And I wouldn't mind also using the later picks because in these first few years, the later picks are usually the real-life players who are now 19 or 20 years old and just have like AHL top 6 potential. So I wouldn't mind this being a year where we kind of dump the later picks and go all in on the higher picks, as opposed to my usual strategy where I love the later picks because you can find those low elites, whatever, at 48 overall who have trade value. So with all that being said, we can start moving into decision-making mode. Before we go into the draft, the first thing I want to do is offer an extension to Oscar Lindblom. Sometimes it's good to wait until after the draft, but I find that after the draft, a player's contract demand will be closer to what they should actually be getting. So Oscar Lindblom, after a good season, instead of asking, let's say right now he wants 3 years at 4.525, he might be asking 3 years at 5.5 after the draft. Same thing for players who didn't do well. They're asking for too much. wait until after the draft. Now they'll be asking for less. But Oscar Lindblom, he's a middle six guy. Yeah, he just had a really great season, but I'm not ready to commit to him being that guy for the next 6 years. So 85% of 4.525 would be 3.84. I don't want to go 1 or 2 years because that's at 5.2. 3 years, he seems to want the term in exchange for taking a little less of an AAV. So 85% would be 3.85, but I'm not going to try and skimp out too much. I think a fair deal, meeting in the middle, would be 3 years at $4 million. Paying him $12 million over the next 3 years after that really good season. Hopefully he keeps it up. If not, it's not the worst contract to have on the books. We have over $21.5 million to play with right now, so I think we can afford 3 years at $4 million for Oscar Lindblom. Hopefully he'll take it. If not, it might cost a little bit more for maybe a 1-year deal or whatever, but we'll deal with that after the draft. So that business is taken care of. Let's head into the draft, and I am very curious to see how this plays out. So the first overall pick to the Vegas Golden Knights, not up for grabs. Picks 2 and 4 and even 6 and 7 and 10. Okay, so within the top 10, all right, I'll just say, forget the top 10 because we picked 9th. Within the top 8, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 picks up for grabs. Now, top 3 I'm not even going to think about because 1 and 3 aren't up for grabs, and 2, we just traded with Washington last year when they won the draft lottery to pick 2nd. Now they were a horrible team and actually need that second overall pick, so I'm not going to trade with any of the top 3 teams. So pick 1 is going to be that centerman, that Finnish centerman. What was his name again? Raimo, 83 overall, medium-elite playmaker. And honestly, that's one of the first overall picks I've ever seen to not have zone abilities. Ever since, I think probably the only I've ever seen not have a zone ability out of the draft since zone abilities became a thing in NHL. 17 years of age, 83 overall though, so I don't know if it really matters. 2nd overall, the Capitals take Joseph. Was it Jeremy Joseph? Yeah, Jeremy Joseph. Again, no zone abilities. Defensive defenseman, 78 overall, medium elite. And the 3rd overall pick, the Philadelphia Flyers select Lees, Dominic, and he has a zone ability, 2-way D, 5'11", 18 years of age. All right, so now picks 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are between us and pick number 9. The top 3 has gone as we thought it would go. I'm not going to trade for pick, because pick number 4, this could be where the earliest that Rodin goes at pick number 4. I don't think I want to go for number 4. I think it's going to be if destiny has it that Minnesota doesn't take him at 5, we'll try to do it at 6. Because if not, I want to use our 2nd round picks to get that high elite goalie, that NHL ready late guy in the 1st round. Trading a couple of seconds with the 9th overall pick, or even, I don't know, do we have to trade the 9th overall pick? It's tough to say. But what I am trying to say is I don't think I want to trade for number 4 to take Rodin. I would rather trade for number 6 to get Rodin if it's there. So let's see what the Predators do. I'm going to really just have it be if fate decides it, then we'll look into it. But I'm not looking to overpay. I'm not a big fan of trading up to 2, 3, or 4 every year anyways. Trading from 9 to 7 or 9 to 6, that makes a bit more sense to me. So the Predators do take Tursunbayev, the Estonian, medium elite defensive defenseman. He has zone abilities as well. And this is going to be what decides it. If Minnesota does not take Rodin, I will explore a trading option with the Red Wings. If they do take Rodin, I'm going to see if we can take Kiviharju at 9, or if we could trade up to take Kiviharju at 7 or 8. So do the Minnesota Wild take Rodin at 5? They do not! Caswell goes at 5 to the Wild. Clark Caswell. This makes it tough now, so I was also kind of hoping that fate would decide things for me. But now at 6, the Red Wings are still out there. Do we gamble on the Red Wings not taking a defenseman, but already dropping from 5 to, that's kind of rare. Oh, but maybe they want the gem forward. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna see what does Detroit's defense situation look like right now? Because as bad as the AI GM is for managing, they usually do draft according to needs. So what's their defense looking like right now? I know we're kind of wasting time, but this could be worth it. What's their defense like right now? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have a full top 6er, but what's their potential? They have Edvinsson. They have Sider. This guy Vero, high top 6D. Hronik, of course. No, I don't. It's possible, but I don't see much reason why they wouldn't take Rodin. It's possible. It is possible. I'm like, it's really a 50-50 on would they take Rodin, but I can't risk that. So Detroit, if I were to give you, or what if I even kept 9? What if I kept 9 and said, okay, I'm going to give you, because 40, I need 53 or 54 for the goalie. Let's say I give you 50, 54, and 73. I give you 2 seconds and a third to get the 6th overall pick. Are we crazy here? They're not quite interested in that. I can give the 9th, but I'm seeing is it possible without it. Could I throw in one of our 5ths as well? Does this get us close at all? You're quite far off. Okay, so forget it. Let me try it with the 1st. But this obviously increases it by a lot. If I give you the 9th overall pick, I'd give you like a 5th. Is that enough to move up? Like sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You're quite far off. It's really hard to know what teams are going to say thank you so much and what teams are going to say we're laughing at you. 2 5ths. Trade accepted! All right, so 5th. Whoa, you're so far off. And 2 5ths. There we go. So the 9th overall pick and 2 5th round picks. We keep our seconds. Trade up to 6. And let's head up to the podium. Good evening, everyone. And congratulations to the Columbus Blue Jackets on winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history with the 6th overall selection in the 2024 NHL entry draft. The San Jose Sharks are proud to select from IK Oskarshamn, Mats Rodin. Welcome to the franchise, my friend, and you are 79 overall, medium elite offensive defenseman. Let's see what those X factors are. So 3 zone X factors, no zone abilities. We can always change that going forward. He has tape-to-tape, magnetic, and heat seeker. Unfortunately, no shutdown or defensive things there, but he does have the 3-star defense out of the gate. Maybe he won't be ready right away. I'm not sure. We'll see what kind of offseason growth he has. But 3.5-star puck skills, 4-star skating, that medium elite potential. Looking forward to big things from Mats Rodin. Great to have you in the organization, my friend. That is lovely. Big pick right there out of Sweden. The Penguins at 7 do take Caton, the 73 overall medium elite. The Blackhawks at 8 take Chimera. Would the Wings, and now they want to trade the 9th overall pick that we traded to them, would they take Kiviharu? Yeah, they definitely would. Kiviharu, but then there's also Nakamura, who'd be there, and there's Silvegaard. We need that left side D to be bolstered. Would it be crazy to also try and get Kiviharu? Like, what would the Wings want? They didn't want to take the package of 2nds and 3rds for the 6th overall pick. Would they now say, okay, actually, we don't want any of these big guys. We just want quantity over quality because we have our big guys. We have Seider, we had Evanson, we have Hronek, we have Klingberg. Maybe they do want a package of 2nds and 3rds. We have 4 seconds. We want to keep 1 for the goalie. We want to use also a bit of capital to trade up to the end of the 1st round. If I traded you 41 and 53 with 104, what would you say to that for the 9th overall pick? Quite far off in value, but we know that sometimes that's not always true. Can I add a 5th? 2 seconds, a 4th, and a 5th. You aren't where you need to be. I understand if they don't want to do it, but if they do want to trade it, yeah, you know, I'm happy to do it. Let's see, 161 thrown in there as well. 4th, a 5th, and a 6th with those 2 seconds. You aren't where you need to be. Is it just not written in the stars that Kiviharu is going to come here? Can I throw in the 3rd? That would probably be my final offer, because we need the 2nd and some others to trade up for Tanguay. 2 seconds and a 3rd for the 9th. Aren't where you need to be. There was even a comment that said either on Discord or YouTube, why don't we get Kiviharu and Rodin? I don't know. It says that they're buyers. I'm not quite sure what their prerogative is right now. 2 seconds, a 3rd, and a 4th. Still quite far off. I guess this would probably be the final offer. 2 seconds, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th to trade up for pick number 9. Trade accepted! Wow! At the final moments, the final offer that we were offering, and the Red Wings take it. Was not expecting to get huge 2 top 10 picks, which will be huge for the defense moving forward. We had nothing in the system aside from some medium top 4 guys, one in the AHL and then one in the NHL. But Aaron Kiviharu, who is listed as a 2-way D, but very highly touted by the assistant general managers. Medium elite, similar to Alex Pietrangelo, 3 years away, but curious what he'll become. Nothing crazy right now, but from evidence of other franchise mode simulations in our Discord server that I've seen, Kiviharu can become an animal. So let's head up to the podium once again. With the 9th overall selection in the 2024 NHL entry draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from TPS Turku Aaron Kiviharu. Welcome to the organization below. 64 overall, medium elite as expected. I don't think his attributes would be anything crazy either. He does have some nice X factors. Yeah, no special, nothing really that stands out. 1, 2, 2.5 star everything. But from what I've seen, again, I'm telling you, from what I've seen, A, it's cool to have a real-life prospect because this guy is someone who's going to be a big 2024 prospect. And B, it's someone that's been highly touted by a lot of the assistant general managers. So could we have gotten Silvegaard and Nakamura, who are going to be higher overalls? Yes. But this was the last medium league prospect, and we know that he's going to become something special. So yes, there's going to be the 77 overall medium top 4D, 78 overall medium top 4D. Lots of good picks. There's a lot of good overall value in this draft. There are many players with high overall. 73 at pick number 13. Boston going to take a 60. Okay, now it drops off a bit, but still some 70s going in the double digits here. So the next trade we want to make would be to go and get Tanguay, who's going to be at the end of the first round. I think 27 is going to be a good place to go. I think he's slated to go 27 or 28. Bit risky, but that's the last team that wants to trade their pick. So I'm going to say, can I give you 50? And then here's like 169 and 209, because we really don't need these late picks in this year's draft. What would you say to this, Vancouver? Here's a couple picks, still quite far off. We could dip into next year's picks a little bit. I'll keep 1/6 for doing something later on. I can dip into another 5th here. So a 2nd, then a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th to trade up. Thank you very much, Vancouver. We'll go ahead and trade to pick Sim up to pick number 27. He does not go, thankfully. After our picks, who else went in this first round? 75 overall, medium top 4D. Some top 6 forwards. Yep, top 9, top 4D. Average, yeah, pretty average end of the first round. And with this last pick, we'll make our final selection of the first round. Larry Tanguay from HC Lugano. He's a Swiss player playing in Switzerland. Had 10 points in a B-ranked league. NHL ready, similar to Owen Nolan. Should be like a 77 to 79 overall player. Let's grab him. With the 27th overall selection in the 2024 NHL entry draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from HC Lugano, Larry Tanguay. Larry Bello, 77 overall, medium top 6. Love it. Larry Legend, welcome to the organization, my friend. Love it. Very well-rounded as well. Sweet. Great stuff. Two-way forward. I like it. It reminds me a bit of Asher Maloney, actually, from the Seattle Kraken franchise mode. So that's it. There we go. Gortson had a 3-bar medium elite. That was tempting, but Tanguay, we knew he was NHL ready. We knew his potential. Didn't need to risk it. Gortson also a good pick there. 71 overall, going at 28th overall, but yep. Let's go to pick number 54 and snag that goalie because I know that he's ranked like 55 or 56, so that's why I didn't want to trade that final pick in the second round. We see that other players who went were medium top 9s, low elites, low top 4D. Medium elite goalie here, Chipchura, 61 overall, medium elite. So, you know, like the previous comment said, even if this goalie is medium starter, him being a gem is very good. Plus, we got this pick for like what the Shemek trade, so it's all right. Torsten Hornquist playing with HV78, I believe that's how you say it. HV71, I believe that's how you say it in Swedish. HV78. I may be wrong, but any of the Swiss viewers could remind me. He is going to be 5 years away. I'm sure his overall is going to be low, but I really hope that he's at least, I'm going to say at least high starter. Medium elite would be great. High elites are not usually high elites, but Torsten Hornquist, 6'1" Swedish goalie. Welcome to the organization, Bello, and you are high elite! Let's go! High elite! 48 overall, kind of threw me off for a second, but high elite, let's go! A gem goaltender who's going to be definitely a big project, years and years away. So, you know, would I have rather taken a 61 who's medium elite or a 48 who's high elite? It's going to be much faster growth. So, you know, time will tell. Time will tell, but a high elite goalie prospect in the system, I'm going to take that every day of the week. No problem there. Wow, so our next pick's not until 161, and there's not really anyone else that I want to go for. There was a lot of good value in the first and second round, but aside from that, just our scouts haven't really told us enough. There's no one who I've scouted enough, and like I said, the lower players and now the real-life players who we wouldn't really want to be going for. So there were some other goalie possibilities, 2-bar, medium elite, stuff like that, but I'm happy to get the high elite Hornquist. Amazing. So thank you to the assistant general managers who threw out, like, hey, we should definitely take a flyer on this guy. First pick of the, sixth round at 161. Let's just take whoever has, our scouts say has potential. 2-bar low elite, the Norwegian Davis Seabrook. I don't know, 2 bars low elite, anything better than that? 2 bars low top 6 for a German, but he's unranked even. 3-bar low top 4D, but he's also in the 500s. Like, that's pretty unlikely. Low starter, another Swiss. We got 2 Swiss players in this draft. Ronnie Bickel, low starter. You know what? We don't have any other goalies in the system, and those other guys aren't impressing me. Low starter, let's do it. Ronnie Bickel, what do you got from Switzerland? Medium backup, not bad for a 6th-round pick. Really, it's more because we have no other goalies in our system. I wouldn't mind, having him, and let's forget about him, and let's see what happens in 3 years from now. But there's the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Not a lot of picks, but huge moves in the first round to bolster the Ministry of Defense. Rodin and Kiviharu 6 and 9, Tanguay 27, Hornquist 54, and we were able to make those picks because of the draft capital that we accumulated and acquired at the deadline. So it came back to bless us. Great decisions, I think. Now it's going to be, do we bring Rodin to the NHL, AHL right away? Not totally sure on that just yet. Let me re-sign some coaches and some scouts, and we'll get to the contract screen in a second. And advancing towards the re-sign phase, Oscar Lindblom does accept that extension. Very nice. Easy decision for him to accept it. Very good. 3x4 for him. All right. Re-sign phase now. Rodin, we're definitely going to sign him. We just don't know if... Well, actually, I don't know. Are we? I'm going to leave it to the assistant GM. There's no reason to rush it right now. We can always do it at the start of the preseason. Do we send him back to Europe, or will he grow enough to crack the NHL lineup? Do we give him a chance and send him to the AHL? Not sure, but we'll wait on it. Expiring contracts, no one too crazy, especially with $18.478 million to play with. We'll want to re-sign Glass, Bordelot, De Kaiser. I don't think any of these guys are going to be let go, aside from Steven Lorentz. I'm sorry, buddy. I'll have to release you. Down the list here from the bottom, maybe a few of these guys, like low 7th D, I could release this guy. But most of these guys will be signed for the AHL. Aside from them, we have the goaltenders, and we know that both Riddick and Kakinen needed contracts. Riddick, we're going to let go for sure. Wasn't great as a backup this last season. We can get someone else in free agency, or Lindbergh will get promoted. Imon and Bopsi will both get contracts, I think, because it'll probably be, regardless of who's the backup, I think Lindbergh and Makiniemi will both be in the NHL. It'll just be what's up with Kakinen, who is asking for 4.125. Not crazy, but I find like it's a little much for not having a great season. Maybe we do like a 1-year, 3.75 type of thing, then we see what's up in free agency. I did want to explore Ilya Sorokin and acquiring his rights, but honestly, it just slipped my mind with all the draft pick trading that we were doing, and we'll see if he drops to free agency. If not, then it wasn't meant to be, and that team was always going to keep him anyways. So I'll take care of some of these expiring deals. It'll be pretty basic contracts aside from Glass, who's going to get the only one that's going to be maybe multi-year. I probably want to keep it at 1 year to keep it as an RFA, but not cheap to go a bit longer term, and he could be a long-term bottom 6 player for us, even middle 6 at times. I know it's a bit crowded in the center. That's my only hesitation. But I think I'm okay with going 3 years on Cody Glass. Both he and Lindblom can get 3-year deals. So 85% is 2.14. I think 2.225, that's pretty good. 2.225 for 3 years after he was coming off of like an entry-level deal to prove himself. Had a solid season in a third, fourth line role. Let's give him 3 years at, close to $7 million, and we'll go from there. All right, Cody? I'll get everybody else signed up, and then we'll simulate a few days. All right, advancing a day now to see who wants to re-sign for the contracts that we sent out. Happy to join the team. Great AHL head coach back on board. Not too thrilled. Okay, AHL associate coach. Don't really care too much. Scouts are on as well. Good, good, good. The organization is happy. The economy is booming. I'm curious about guys like Danny DeKaiser. Easy decision from Cody Glass. Kakinen doesn't like the 1 year at 3.65. Gadjevich, Hamaliuk, Imon, Raska, Kniazev. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Hataka, Bordelot, Phillips, De Kaiser, nice. Furlong, Bopi, Bystedt, for a former first-round pick, 6'4" centerman. He's in the system. Havelid, Vesalainen. Okay, so those were a lot of little names there. Didn't take up too much of our salary cap. No more UFAs. Only RFAs left are Weatherby and Tuomala, who both wanted like one-way deals, so I just qualified them for now. Also, the unsigned players, as well as Kakinen. So we have the money. I'm not looking to play games. I just want to get my starting goalie, whether it be him or somebody else. 1 year, $3.9 million. If he stays, he stays. If not, not too hard of a deal to offload. Easy decision. Thank you very much. That leaves us with $13.8 million to play with in free agency. Before we go to free agency, I just want to see how's the organization looking. Forward-wise, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 right there as our forwards. Reedy and Bordelot making the NHL. That doesn't, so Gregor would be like 13th forward. Sturm can get traded. Chaz Lucius is going to be pushing. Vesalainen might be pushing. So that's even, yeah, there's good competition for the forwards. Defense, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 De Kaiser, 6 Merkley, 7 could be Benning. Does Rodin get included there? Does Kniazev make the push for the NHL? Does Pickering make the push for the NHL? That's why I'm not really looking at anyone in free agency aside from maybe a starting goalie. And of course, anyone else who might have potential. I know we're also thinking about Vitaly Kravtsov, who could be in our top 6 moving forward. So I'm going to see what's up with him. Did the Rangers figure that out or not? I would think that probably not. Trying to think line combos. Maybe it would be Hurdle, Bedard, and Drouin first line. Couture, Lindblom, Eklund second line. Glass, Zucker, and Cunnin third line. So I like Kravtsov, but if he came in, someone would have to be moving out probably. Maybe we could capitalize on Zucker moving out at this point, now that he had a better second half of last season and he's going to be on an expiring deal. Maybe Sveshnikov could move out as well because he's too good to be a fourth liner. So I could see a trade happening, but we're going to wait till July 1st. Goaltending #1 priority, and we're also going to be thinking about Vitaly Kravtsov if has still been left unsigned by the Rangers. And we could check that right now. Did the Rangers figure anything out with Kravtsov? Oh, they did. 1.6 for 2 years. So it worked out for them. Kravtsov ended up not playing, and he got signed during the re-sign phase here. So could we have traded for him at the draft? It's possible. We didn't know yet if Lindblom was going to be coming back. We didn't know quite how the forward growth was going to be working out, and even that now we don't know. So as fun as Kravtsov would have been, maybe it just wasn't meant to be right now. And we'll send to free agency and see what's available for us. So now at July 1st, there's a few things we can do. We can think about extensions for our players who are now, as of today, on expiring deals. Like we know that William Eklund's going to need a contract, and it's just going to get more and more expensive. Right now, 1 year, $7 million, 8 years, 14. Yeah, that's just ludicrous. But we could look at a 4-year deal paying him in the $8 million range, but he hasn't shown it to me yet, so I don't think we want to do that. Jason Zucker wants way too much. Reedy, as of now, would take a very reasonable deal. We could think about that. No one else really that's speaking to me that needs an extension right away. Also, we can see the higher staff screen. We do have an A-rated head coach. Hasn't been great for the scoring, but do we give him a chance with Connor Bedard, or do we fire him and take a risk and go hire this guy Lyles maybe? Francisco Lyles, 56% team fit. Had a losing record and got fired. A-rated offense and defense, A+ for the special teams. Meanwhile, our head coach, despite him not having enough offense-mindedness, he is also A-rated, and he has A+ offense, A- defense, and the A+ on the special teams, and a better team fit. So I'm not opposed to a new coach, but I'm going to give this guy a chance, I think, with the new team, with more growth from our players, such as Bedard and Eklund. And then we can think about looking at somebody else. Because right now I think it would be a lateral move, maybe even a harmful move. So no A+ guys available that are screaming out to me. Scouts, however, any A-rated scouts out there? Yes, okay, so I'm going to do an overhaul of the scouting. I'm going to fire and hire a bunch of scouts. I'll take care of all of that, and then we can dive into free agency. Alright, so we should have 14 new scouts coming into the organization. Usually by year 3, that's when the staff starts to get overhauled because there's more B and A-rated scouts available. So, July 1st, let's head into free agency and see what's up. Who dropped to UFA status? Let's see, Devontae's leading the free agent class of defensemen and of players overall as an 89 overall. William Nylander, Sam Reinhart, Brett Pesce, Josh Bailey, Tom Wilson. I wouldn't say any huge franchise-altering names. If we did want to think about that right-handed right wing moving forward, there could be that William Nylander. We already had him in Philadelphia. There could be that, I don't know, Ryan Hartman. I feel like he's probably pumped up by good totals last year. What did he have? I don't know. Not crazy numbers, but I don't think he's really an 86. Wheeler, a bit up there in age. Trevor Moore, another guy who I'm not sold on. 25-goal season, but will he continue as an 85? Phil Kessel. Anthony Mantha. Now, he did drop to free agency. That was one of the players that we were thinking about in the comments section. He wants a 6-year deal, though. Coming off of a 30-goal season, probably the highest of his career, which has been plagued with a lot of injuries. He is a left-handed shot, though. We're thinking about right-handed shots. We don't really have any of those on the team. So he's coming off of a career high, and he wants to cash in 6 years at 4.5 per year. Not quite what I think we can give him at this time. I think the team is there. We just need to grow. Maybe, like I said, we trade out Zucker, we trade out Sveshnikov, and we could sign someone in this overall range. But then again, Mantha, 6 years, I don't think I can commit to that. It would probably be more like a Phil Kessel, a Jordan Eberle, someone like that, who we could even Barabanov, former San Jose Shark. Victor Arvidsson, sniper, but doesn't simulate super well. Eberle, that veteran presence, 4.5-star shooting. I could see him on the Sharks, leaving Seattle, coming to San Jose on a little 1 or 2 year contract. I could see it, but what I'm really curious about is the goaltending. What's up in the goaltending category? We see Sorokin did drop to free agency. Only wants 2 years at 5.3. Other teams are interested, but we might want to snatch him up. Didn't have the craziest numbers last season, nor did Samsonov. Sorokin gives me better long-term growth because with that elite potential, he could grow more. Has a smaller sample size. Played as a bat. That's why. Oh no, hold on. The years are mixed up. He was a starter last season, but not the greatest numbers and not the greatest team. Samsonov wants around the same asking price, was on Toronto. A better team, not great numbers on a better team. The asks from Real Francouz or from Murray, those are both great asks. I'd be looking at starting goaltending. So if we could sign Sorokin or Samsonov, trade away Kakinen, trade away Zucker, Sveshnikov, sign another forward, I think those would be the free agency moves. I'm going to see if Sorokin would work. I don't know if he wants to stay. He wants 5 by 5.3. I don't mind committing to a deal like that because we know Lindbergh's probably going to... I don't know if he'd be a long-term starter for us. I don't think he's in our plans as our future starter, but he might challenge for some starts down the road. 5 years of 5.3 versus Samsonov, who wants a 6 by 5. And if you go down in years, it doesn't change. That's the good thing as well. Samsonov, a year younger, no competition right now. The competition with other teams is what scares me. Add in the fact that I went to the assistant general managers in the Discord server, and they're voting Samsonov right now. They're saying the extra inch of height, the extra 15 pounds of weight, the slightly better record, the younger age, the same overall, the no other teams competing for him. People are leaning Samsonov in the Discord server. So I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 5 by 5. We'll see what comes from it. Worst case, we keep Kakinen. But I think a 5 by 5 for 86 overall, Ilya Samsonov would not be a bad option. It's not that we necessarily want to say he's better than Kakinen. I don't know if it's that much better of a move, but I think just organizationally we were ready to move on from Kakinen. And if we knew who was going to free agency, which we would have just magically one day before the draft versus now 5 days later, we would have known a lot more in the real world who was going and who wasn't. We wouldn't have signed Kakinen just as a backup. So 5 years at $5 million for Ilya Samsonov. That would still leave us with like over $8 million to play with, $8.8 million to play with. So with that 8.8, we could go after a guy like Anthony Mantha while trading Zucker and Sveshnikov. So I'm leaning towards let's send out an offer. I know there's other players, like if you go to the left wingers, you can see the left-right guys, like Duclair wants $7 million, Perron would take 1 year at 4.375, not bad, but I'd probably be looking for something a bit more. Jakub Vrana, left-handed shot. We want that right-handed shot for the special teams and all that. How about Denis Gurianov? But he's a left-handed shot again. Another guy we were thinking about earlier on in this series for someone who could use a change of scenery. But we want that right-handed shot, and Anthony Mantha has it. And it's a reasonable contract in terms of AAV. Can we bring it down on the years? Can we go 4 years for 4.6? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'm going to see if he wants 4 years at 4.5. He's coming off of a 30-goal season, which is very good, but it was his first healthy season. It was the first time he hit 30 in his career. I don't know. If he wants it, he'll take it. 4 years, I'll do even 4.55 for 4 years. That still leaves him time to get a new contract before the end of his career. If Mantha and Samsonov want these contracts, they'll take them. If not, we'll figure something out. But if they do take them, we'll have some trades to make. And before I keep advancing a day, I totally forgot that, as always, on July 1st, we want to see if there's any interesting players with good potential who are here in free agency, some UFAs who have dropped. A lot of 25, 26-year-olds. I see this guy, Lutz. Who is this? This is Julian Lutz, second-round pick in 2022, two-way forward. Really weird attributes. 93 discipline, boosting him up, but really odd attributes. Yeah, I'm not going to go ahead and sign. Doesn't seem to be a good simulation player. 23.76 for Mikhail Abramov, fourth-round pick from the Maple Leafs. Good puck skills. Yeah, why not? I can go for him. Get a little bit of talent down in the AHL. Max two-way deal. Why not? Abramov, I could also use a winger if there's anybody. Kachkovich, can we get him? Yeah, sounds like the right guy here. Maxim Kachkovich, a third-round pick, a sniper from the Lightning. Unless he wants a crazy one-way deal. No, he wants... he does want a two-way deal. So he doesn't want a two-way deal, excuse me. I want only two-way guys. So I'll refine the search accordingly. A lot of defensemen. Yeah, no other forwards here. Now we move into the top nines. Yeah, okay, so probably Abramov's the only guy. Anybody else? We'll wait until August to start thinking about any other positions we want to fill out. We still have some trades to make, like I said, if those players do sign on. So let's start advancing a few days now. We'll see what happens. Obviously, 14 scouts who have to sign on, so still a lot of button clicking for me between now and then. Now, full disclaimer, as I was simulating forward, Ilya Samsonov did not want to sign on with the Sharks because he thinks that he'll be splitting starts with Kakkonen. I went back to a previous save on July 1st and tried it again. I did it 3 or 4 times, and Samsonov kept not wanting to sign with the team because of the sharing of starts in his mind. Because I'm not able to go into negotiations and tell Samsonov, no, you will be our starting goalie if you sign with our team, I'm going to have to come back to July 1st and trade Kakkonen before advancing a few days. So I went back, I sent out the exact same trade offers, 5x5 for Samsonov and 4.55 for Mantha. Mantha, I'm not sure if he's going to sign, but for Samsonov, whether he signs or not, we're going to accept that result, but I'm not going to let it be because the AI brain doesn't understand that he's going to be the starter. Full disclosure, because I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm manipulating the franchise mode to try and get certain results that would benefit the team. I would never do that. I want to keep it 100% as realistic as possible. If Samsonov still doesn't want to sign because of the money or because of the team prestige or whatever else, then that's totally fine. We'll move on with our lives. But I wouldn't want him to not sign with us because of some false... whatever, that he thinks he's going to be a backup goalie. So I looked at all the teams in the league who needed a goalie. The Hurricanes are one of them. I'm going to see if I can get maybe a second and maybe a second next year and a sixth the year after from the Hurricanes for Kakkonen on a 1-year deal. Isn't sufficient at all. Just the second. All right, trade accepted. Great. So Kakkonen off to the Carolina Hurricanes. Thank you, Kasperi. Thank you, Capo, for all of your years here. Coming from Minnesota, splitting the crease, then being the starter. Couple good seasons. We weren't the best team, but I'd like to have someone we can commit to long term. Higher overall, a bit better performance-wise. I think it made sense, not just on paper, but also story-wise, that it hasn't been going great. Let's just do a clean break. Wish you all the best in Carolina, and we'll move forward here in San Jose with somebody else. So hopefully Mantha and Samsonov will both sign. I have no idea now. I have to go through all the 14 scouts and then we'll see what happens. Continuing on through the scouts, the next day should be the one. Mantha's the guy that I'm more worried about because Samsonov, it was because of the crease, but maybe Mantha doesn't like the money or someone else offers him more. So fingers crossed here, advancing. And Dave, extremely happy to accept your offer. All right, thank you, Anthony Mantha. I like the idea that I'm likely to be a go-to man for your team, and that's what you'll be in the top 6, hopefully for a few years to come. Thank you very much. All right. Anthony Mantha is signed on. Now, here's the big one. Is Samsonov going to be our starting goalie on a 5x5 contract? Oh, Abramov signs on, yes. Is Samsonov coming? Let's simulate one more day. Sturm also a guy we're likely going to be trading. Simulating one more day forward. Samsonov, extremely happy to accept your offer. Let's go. And then I can add a lot to a team that's destined for a good run in the playoffs. All right. 6'3" Ilya Samsonov. 5x5 for him. Anthony Mantha also signed on. Huge news there. Kakinen off to the Hurricanes. Now it's time for one last trade, which will be for the forwards. We still have a ton of cap space right now. I think we're in a very good spot. Forwards-wise, now, looking at the overalls, if our top 6 is Hertl, Lindblom, Couture, Bedard, Eklund, Drouin, minus Lindblom probably onto the third line plus special teams. So there's Mantha, third line Glass. So Zucker would get traded, and Cunnin would play third line. Fourth line would probably be Reedy, Bordelot, and maybe Vesalainen. But Sveshnikov, I don't want him playing on the fourth line. Zucker, I don't want him playing fourth line because really it would be Lindblom coming on the third line. And Cunnin, I want him on the fourth line. So I think Zucker, and Sveshnikov both leaving on expiring deals would make a lot of sense. I'm going to see if I can find a team that wants to take them. 2 guys on expiring deals who are bottom 6 role guys. I don't think I'm going to try and squeeze a prospect from anybody. Just find a team that wants to take them both and get a pick. And Dante Fabro back on the block. I just noticed that as an RFA once more. Those RFA defensemen, Bouchard and Fabro, both still available. Because defensively, we have, Knizhov and Carlson as the first pair. If the second pair is Ferraro and Merkley, the third pair is Vlasic and De Keyser. And that's not even including Rodin, who could play in the NHL next season. Unless it's time to just cut loose on Ferraro, maybe? I like Ferraro a lot, and in the real world, he is great. But if, I prefer to keep Merkley and roll the dice on trading Ferraro and try to bring in a guy like Dante Fabro. I don't know, because the Predators don't have a lot of salary cap space, so that would have to be a separate deal. Okay, I'm going to keep that in mind. No teams in the league that want both and can afford both at the same time, so I'm going to see if the Blue Jackets want to take Sveshnikov and Zucker. So Evgeny Sveshnikov, we got him from the Winnipeg Jets in the real world before GM Data and company took over. He had a couple of solid seasons here on the Sharks, 2 full 82-game seasons. I've liked having him. A bit of redemption after he was kind of moved around Detroit, Winnipeg. He had 2 great years in San Jose. We signed him to a nice contract. Jason Zucker, we got him as a toss-in in the Pickering and Lindbergh trade. Ends up scoring 13 points in 31 games, and then in the postseason scores 26 in 18, as he led the entire league in postseason points, even though we lost in the third round. He was amazing. Then in the second half of last season, he was really good. 15 goals, 35 points on the season. He was on a 25 goal pace, 28 I think goal pace in the second half of the year. He did very, very well. I'd be tempted to keep him, but it would really be in a fourth line role. But would he mind a fourth line role? Maybe we keep Zucker. I don't know if I'm being romantic right now or what, but maybe we keep Zucker. We move Nico Sturm, who's taking $2 million as a depth piece, and he's more of a guy that could move. We move Nico Sturm. We move Evgeny Sveshnikov. Can I get a second-round pick from the Blue Jackets for this? No, because it's 2 players who are filling the same need. Unless I take a little less value just to try and dump them, or we do separate deals. Can I get a 3rd and a 6th from the Blue Jackets in a deal like this? Still not interested, just a 3rd. There we go. All right, 3rd round pick to the Blue Jackets. We clear up some salary cap space. Nico, Evgeny, thank you for your time here in San Jose. Zucker, I don't know if I'm feeling romantic or what, but even if we have to lose him for nothing, he was so good last year in the second half, and we have that first postseason from 2 years ago. I'm going to try and see if we can hang on to him just a bit more because of the nostalgia in me. But what's really speaking to me is that Dante Fabro deal. So should we trade Mario Ferraro and try to look at getting Dante Fabro? Mario Ferraro right now, even Evan Bouchard. Mario Ferraro has been a lifelong Shark. Missed him up here. Here he is. Medium top 4D, 81 overall, 2 more years of 3.25. Correct. He is a second-round pick from 2017. He has played 344 games. Always good for the teens of points. Last year he was a +4 while having 16.54 of ice time per night. He's able to eat the minutes. He's taken a big role. Just he hasn't grown beyond the 81. That's the thing. Dante Fabro over on the Predators, he gets into the 20s of points. And what kind of minutes does he eat? He eats a lot of minutes, and he's getting into the 20s of the points. Fabro with the top 4D potential, a year older. He would cost more. We have the salary cap space. And then, of course, there's still Evan Bouchard over on the Oilers, who's on their trade block. Killer Yamamoto's also on their trade block. Yeah, Evan Bouchard, a bit more trade value. 2 years younger, 83 overall. Offensive defenseman, right-handed shot, and we know that he got 20 points in 82 games, not last season, but the year before. I think the Bouchard deal may make more sense, because Bouchard sat out all of last season unsigned. Fabro sat out a bit, ended up getting signed, and once again, now the Predators still have, like, whatever, $1.5 million to play with. The Oilers have like $1 million in cap space, 1.3, but they have Yamamoto as an 86 as an RFA, and Bouchard, who's still unsigned. The guy is getting very impatient, very unhappy being left on the sidelines as an RFA all this time. So I can't trade them Ferraro, but I could trade them maybe some sort of rookie skater. I'm not sure who really interests them. Bystedt could work, but I wouldn't really want to move him. We just signed Abramov, so that would be a bit too cheese. But maybe someone we might not use, like Havilland and Furlong, could toss them in with a pick. Yeah, okay. I'm going to see if I could put Havilland, Furlong, because at this point, really, his value is higher than it should be. It should be very low right now, because they have no leverage. They got to move this guy. So if I could give you a 4th-round pick with these 2 prospects for Evan Bouchard, what would you say to that? Trade accepted. All right. Evan Bouchard, it's been a long time coming. We offered way more at the deadline. Now we get him for way cheaper. Evan Bouchard, welcome to the team. I'm going to probably move on from Mario Ferraro. I'm not going to do it yet because we're not forced to do it yet. But come the start of the preseason, I think we'll have to. Let's get this poor guy signed to a contract. What's he looking for right now? 3 by 4.5? 3 years would keep him as an RFA at the age of 27, no less. So 3.85 for 3 years. Let's see what Bouchard says to this. 3.85 for 3 years, keeping him as an RFA after that, and we'll see what he has to say. We have the cap space. We have a few ideas of what we could do. We have the maneuverability. So with all that being said and done, I think we can sim to the beginning of next season now. Big moves on July 1st. Big moves at the draft. It has been a very... And thank goodness. Extremely happy to accept your offer. Thank you very much, Evan. I appreciate the fact you offered me the exact contract length I was looking for. Thanks. He's just relieved to be signed, and now it's time for the Evan Bouchard Revenge Tour. Weatherby signs on, all that. There's still some guys like Benning that we could trade away if we need to free up some more money, but let's just get to the start of next preseason. Let's train well, eat well, get some good sleep, go to Disneyland, enjoy your summers, work hard, get some good growth, and we'll see how you're looking in September. Tomala also signing on. We're ready to go. All right, so off-season growth had a monumental impact on our game plan. Everything just got turned upside down. Bedard is still an 84. Drouin down to an 84. I think, wasn't he like an 85? Mantha 84. Eklund still an 84. Lindblom still an 85, which is good. Cunnin down from an 82 to an 81. Not sure why after such a good season. Jason Zucker still an 82. Glass up to an 83. Reedy up to an 82. And then Chaz Lucius at an 80, on top of Thomas Bordelot at an 81 and Christian Vesalainen at an 81. We just have way too much talent that was in the 77 to 79 range that just grew overnight. So, you know, if I had known that maybe we do trade Jason Zucker in the end, but even then, let's say you bump up Glass, you have your third line looking like this now, we trade Zucker. Does Reedy as an 82 play fourth line center? Then do we have an 81 guy like Vesalainen or Bordelot with good potential playing fourth line minutes? That's it? I'd want them maybe third line. I don't know. So Mantha's signing and hanging on to Zucker sounded good before, but it's looking very tough now. On defense, Knizhov's at an 83. Carlson's down to an 85. He was at like an 87 at one point, or an 86 at least. Bouchard can play with Kniazev, who's up to an 81. Vlasic and Merkley. Merkley's up to an 81 as well. So do we have two offensive defensemen on the same pair? Then Kniazev with Vlasic. That means we definitely have to trade Mario Ferraro. Not to mention Pickering, also at an 80 overall. So was not expecting this kind of growth. And also on offense for the forwards, we have Grigor still 79, Tuamala 78, Ozzy Weisblatt 78, Abramov 78, Bystet's going to be growing. So a lot of tough decisions just fell into our laps. I wouldn't be opposed to trading Anthony Mantha for like a 7th round pick if we want to just undo that signing and try and pretend like it never happened. Maybe Luke Cunnin leaves, maybe Zucker leaves. Aside from that, like Chaz Lucius and Vesalainen and Bordelot getting just 4th line minutes every night, I don't know about that. Is it time to wave goodbye to the captain Logan Couture, put Connor Bedard as 2nd line center, then bump the forwards up? And then we have an extra center spot, and Connor Bedard can not have to be a winger anymore, can actually develop his face-offs. There's a lot of different moving pieces, a lot of growth we were not expecting, and adding Bouchard and adding Mantha to the mix of things felt like a good idea at the time, but I was not expecting the lack of growth from some and the extra growth from others. So I'll just, whatever, best lines, it looks like that. I'm not going to touch anything. That's really horrible. I'm not sure. I hate how best lines looks, and that's why. Danny DeKeyser would be 7th D. Who would be 13th forward? What are your suggestions on who should get traded? There's a lot of different permutations and different ways that we could look at it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the assistant general managers have to say about that. If we did trade Logan Couture, it would have to be with a random generator to see what teams he'd be open to being traded to. But at this point, it looks like Ferraro and Benning getting moved out would have to be a certainty now that we brought in Evan Bouchard. But look at the trade blocks around the NHL. If we were to move Couture or Zucker or even Mantha, whoever else, let's look at what is available on the trading blocks throughout the NHL. We can't even bring in more pieces. It would probably just be for picks. But just for kicks here, I'm not even going to call out the names. Just if there's anyone that catches your eye, you see Cam Fowler, Don Skoy. You can go ahead and pause if you see anybody. Lysell, Skinner, Poirier, Pavelski, Killorn, Bergeron, Kerfoot, Murphy, Bocage on the Avalanche. No one really on the Blue Jackets. Dvorak, Sagan, Lindell. A lot of names in Dallas. Klingberg, Bertuzzi, Kopp, Fabry, a ton of names as well in Detroit. Yamamoto's still an RFA on the block, and so is Nakamura over in Edmonton. Maybe they would give up a prospect if we could weaponize our salary cap space. Pinelli, Grans, Minnesota, nobody. Montreal, Ruda, Butcher, Fabro still an RFA in Nashville. Shrangovich and Krebs, both RFAs in New Jersey. It's crazy, eh? Pellick, both on the block for the Islanders. Lindgren and RFA with the Rangers. Wow, a lot of RFAs. Shea, Edmondson, Shen, Hartman, Mikhaev. These guys who just got signed. Rust, Eberle, Voracek, Gavrikov, Susi, Edler, O'Reilly, Hagel and RFA. Leo Carlson over on Toronto. Vegas, Shea Theodore, Petrangelo, Marchessault, Stevenson. Look at all the trade value in Vegas. Washington, Jeremy Joseph, who they just drafted. Wow, McGroarty on the block over in Winnipeg. Wow, a ton of value out there in the trade blocks right now. And it's a bit overwhelming. There's so many players we could have drafted. There's so many players we could sign. We could go after some of these guys, but where do they fit? Look at all the value in September. Look at all this. I've never seen value like this still in September. UFAs, Wheeler, Perron, Silverberg, all still UFAs. Wow. RFAs, look at all these guys too. My goodness. What about the goalies who are still out here? Anybody? Yeah, no one too much there. Wow. So, yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to what the assistant general managers have to say, because I really don't want to do what's been done in previous franchise modes where we have great players that are stuck relegated to 3rd, 4th line minutes. They never grow. I don't want to have so many good young players. I'd rather trade a guy like Vesalainen than try to shoehorn him into the lineup. So trading Vesalainen, trading Zucker, trading even Mantha if we should have never gone after him. Bouchard, maybe we shouldn't have gone after him. It's kind of like we're just helping the league. If Edmonton can't use their brains to trade their RFAs, then I guess we'll have to trade for them, sign them, and then trade them away. I'm not opposed to pausing realism for the offseason, kind of helping to reset the league, and then moving forward from there. Because there's going to be teams with all kinds of cap space who just don't go after these players, but they could and should. So let me know your thoughts down here in the YouTube comments or over on the Discord server, link in the description. The Ministry of Defense has been bolstered. It was a great draft for us. Do we sign Rodin? Another question, of course. Do we sign Rodin to add to the players that we have the question marks on defense? He is still a 79 overall. Tanguay still a 77. So consider that. Should Rodin be signed as well? Many questions for you. So thank you for watching. If you like the draft in the off season and all the crazy moves that have happened, be sure to leave a like. If you aren't already subscribed, be sure to do so. If you are subscribed, you would have seen just a few days ago our annual franchise mode guide came out. The guide to everything franchise mode in NHL 23 is now live. If you want some tips, tricks, and walkthroughs for everything franchise mode, be sure to check that out. And subscribe if you haven't already to be made aware of all of our franchise mode, NHL 23, real world of hockey content, and much, much more. So thank you very much for taking the time. Looking forward to reading your comments. And of course, seeing you in the next one where we will begin our trek towards the postseason in year number 3.